Speaking English with Ada.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Speak English with Anna. I'm Anna, and I'm so glad you're joining us today.
And I'm Mike. You know, Anna, I was looking at my to-do list this morning and I felt completely overwhelmed. It felt like I had 100 things to do and only 5 minutes to do them.
I know exactly how that feels, Mike. We've all been there, staring at a long list of tasks and feeling like we're already behind before the day even starts. It's stressful, isn't it?
It really is. It makes you want to just go back to sleep. But then I realized the problem isn't that I have too much to do. The problem is that I didn't have a solid plan.
Precisely. Productivity isn't about doing more things. It's about doing the right things at the right time. Today, we're going to show you exactly how to plan your day so you can stop feeling busy and start feeling accomplished.
We've broken this down into simple, actionable steps that anyone can follow. Whether you're a student, a professional, or a busy parent, these strategies will help you regain control of your schedule.
And before we dive into our first tip, if you find yourself constantly fighting against the clock, you might want to join our community. By hitting that subscribe button, you're not just following a channel, you're committing to improving your English and your life alongside thousands of other motivated learners.
That's right. We're here to grow together. So grab a notebook, maybe a cup of coffee, and let's get started. Anna, where do we begin?
Well, believe it or not, a successful day actually starts long before you wake up. Let's look at step 1. All right, Mike, let's get into the meat of it. Most people think a productive day starts at 7 a.m. when the alarm goes off, but that's actually a huge misconception, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Anna. If you wait until the morning to decide what you're doing, you've already lost the battle. Your brain is still foggy, you're looking for your socks, and you're already making 100 tiny decisions that drain your energy.
Exactly. We call that decision fatigue. By the time you actually sit down to work, your brain is already tired from just trying to organize the day. That's why we always say the best morning starts the night before.
So what's the secret sauce here? For me, it's all about the brain dump. About 15 minutes before I go to bed, I sit down with a physical notebook, not my phone because the blue light keeps me awake, and I write down everything that's swirling around in my head.
I love that term, brain dump. It's like emptying the trash so your computer runs faster. When you put those tasks on paper, you're telling your brain, hey, I've got this recorded. You don't need to worry about forgetting it while I sleep.
Precisely. It prevents that middle of the night panic where you suddenly wake up thinking, oh no, I forgot to send that email to the client. If it's on the paper, your subconscious can actually relax.
And it's not just about tasks, right? I also like to prepare my environment. I lay out my clothes for the next day, I make sure my laptop is charged, and I even put my gym bag right by the front door.
That's a pro move, Anna. It's called reducing friction. If your gym clothes are already out, you're much more likely to actually go to the gym. You don't have to think, you just grab and go.
Exactly. It's about being kind to your future self. If you spend just 10 or 15 minutes tonight setting things up, your morning self will be so much calmer and more focused.
It really changes the vibe of the whole morning. Instead of waking up in a state of chaos, you wake up with a roadmap. You know exactly what the first 3 steps of your day are.
And that feeling of clarity is priceless. So for everyone watching, your homework tonight is to spend 10 minutes before bed writing your list and prepping one thing for tomorrow morning.
Trust us, you'll thank yourself when that alarm goes off. Now, once we have that list ready, how do we make sure we don't get overwhelmed by it?
That's a great question, Mike, and it leads us perfectly into our next section about how to actually prioritize those tasks. Now that we've cleared our heads with that brain dump from the night before, we probably have a long list of 20 or 30 things to do. Mike, looking at a list that long makes my heart beat a little faster. How do we keep from panicking?
I feel the same way, Anna. If I see 30 items on a list, I usually just want to close the notebook and go watch TV. That's why we need a filter. We need to find the big 3.
The big 3. I love the sound of that. It sounds powerful but manageable. Tell us more. How do you actually choose which tasks make the cut?
It's all about impact. I look at my long list and ask myself one question. If I only accomplished 3 things today, which ones would make me feel the most successful tonight?
That's a brilliant way to frame it. Often we choose the easiest tasks first because they make us feel busy. Checking emails, organizing folders, or cleaning the desk. It feels like work, but is it really moving the needle forward?
Exactly. We call those shallow tasks. They take time but produce much value. The big 3 should be your deep tasks, the big projects, the difficult phone calls, or the creative work that actually helps you reach your long-term goals.
I see. So, for example, if I'm learning English, my big 3 might be 1. Practicing speaking for 20 minutes, 2. Writing a journal entry, and 3. Finishing a difficult grammar lesson. Cleaning my bookshelf doesn't count, even if it's on the list.
Precisely. If you finish those 3 things, your day is a win. Everything else, like doing the laundry or replying to non-urgent messages, is just a bonus. If you get to them, great. If not, it's okay, because you finished the essentials.
I think a lot of people struggle because they try to treat every task as equally important. But when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority.
That's a great quote, Anna. You have to be ruthless. Sometimes you have to say no to a small task so you can say yes to a big one. It's about being intentional with your energy.
And here's a pro tip for our viewers. Write your big 3 on a separate, smaller piece of paper or a sticky note. Keep it right next to your computer. It acts as a visual reminder to stay on track when you get tempted to browse the internet.
I do that every day. It's like a compass. Even if the day gets chaotic, that sticky note reminds me where I need to go.
It's all about focus. But even with a clear focus, we still need to figure out when to actually do these things during the day.
You're right. Knowing what to do is only half the battle. Now we need to talk about how to fit them into our schedule.
And that brings us to a very effective technique called time blocking. So, Mike, we have our big 3 tasks ready. We know exactly what we need to do. But I often find that even with a clear list, the day just slips away. I start one thing, get distracted by a phone call, and suddenly it's lunchtime.
That is the classic productivity trap, Anna. Having a list is great, but a list doesn't tell you when you're going to do the work. That's why I swear by a technique called time blocking. It's a total game changer.
Time blocking. I've heard of it, but for some people it sounds a bit too rigid, like a school schedule. Can you explain how it actually works in the real world?
Think of your day like a series of empty boxes. Instead of just having a long, scary to-do list floating in space, you take those tasks and physically put them into those time boxes on your calendar. For example, from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., I'm blocking out time for Project A.
I see. So during those 90 minutes, your only job is Project A. You aren't multitasking or jumping between 5 different tabs on your computer.
Exactly. It's about creating a date with your work. You wouldn't stand up a friend for coffee, right? So why would you stand up your most important task? When you block that time, you're making a commitment to yourself.
I love that perspective. It really helps with focus. But what happens if something unexpected comes up? An urgent email or a colleague asking for help? Does the whole time block fall apart?
Great question. This is where most people give up. The secret is to build in buffer blocks. I always leave 30 minutes in the afternoon completely empty. That way, if a task takes longer than expected or an emergency happens, I have a safety net.
That's a smart move. It makes the schedule feel flexible rather than like a prison. And what about deep work? I've heard you mention that before when you talk about your morning blocks.
Yes, I try to put my hardest big 3 tasks in my peak energy window. For me, that's early morning. I block out 2 hours for deep work. During this time, the world doesn't exist. My phone is on Do Not Disturb, and I don't even open my email inbox.
That sounds intense, but I bet you get so much more done in those 2 hours than most people do in a whole day of shallow work.
You'd be surprised. When you give a task 100% of your attention without switching context, you finish it much faster and the quality is way higher.
So, for our viewers at home, look at your calendar for tomorrow. Don't just write a list. Actually draw a box for your most important task. Give it a start time and an end time.
It gives you a sense of relief, honestly. You don't have to wonder, what should I do now? You just look at the clock, and the clock tells you what to do. It takes the stress out of decision making.
But speaking of those big, scary tasks that we put into our time blocks, sometimes they are so difficult that we keep procrastinating on them.
Oh, I know that feeling well. That's why we need a special strategy for those monster tasks.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about that in our next section, which has a very funny name called Eating the Frog. Okay, Mike, we've blocked out the time on our calendar and we're ready to go. But let's be honest, sometimes looking at that block for a difficult project makes us want to clean the entire house instead of starting.
I know that feeling all too well. It's called productive procrastination. You do everything except the one thing you actually need to do. That's why we have to talk about eating the frog.
It sounds a bit gross, doesn't it? For our viewers who haven't heard this expression before, could you explain what on earth eating a frog has to do with productivity?
It's a famous quote, often attributed to Mark Twain. He said that if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that that is probably the worst thing that is going to happen to you all day long.
So in our case, the frog isn't a literal animal. It's that one task on your list that you have the most resistance to, the one you're dreading, the one that makes you feel anxious just thinking about it.
Exactly. It's usually the task that requires the most mental energy. Maybe it's writing a difficult report, having an uncomfortable conversation with the boss, or finally starting that complex English essay.
And the rule is, if you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the biggest and ugliest one first. Don't sit and look at it for too long. The longer you stare at the frog, the more impossible it seems to eat.
That's the psychological trick. If you do it at 8 a.m., you feel a huge rush of dopamine and a sense of relief. You think, wow, the hardest part of my day is already over. It gives you incredible momentum for everything else.
But Mike, what if the frog is so big that I can't finish it in one morning? What if it's a giant bullfrog?
Then you have to slice the frog. Break that giant task into smaller, bite-sized pieces. If your task is write a book, that's too big to eat. But write the first 500 words of chapter 1, that's a manageable snack.
I love that. It's all about lowering the barrier to entry. Once you take that first bite, the rest becomes much easier. The hardest part is always just starting.
It really is. I've noticed that when I eat the frog early, my stress levels for the rest of the day are much lower. I'm more relaxed with my family and more creative in my other tasks because that dark cloud of a pending task isn't hanging over my head anymore.
So to our audience, identify your frog for tomorrow. Don't check your social media, don't check your news apps, and don't even check your email until that frog is eaten.
It takes discipline, but the reward is total freedom for the rest of your afternoon.
But even a frog eater needs to rest, right, Mike? We can't just go all day without stopping.
You're absolutely right, Anna. If you don't plan your off time as carefully as your on time, you're going to crash.
And that leads us to our next important point, how to schedule breaks so you don't burn out. Mike, we've been talking a lot about working hard, eating frogs, blocking time, and staying focused. But if we're being honest, nobody can actually stay 100% focused for 8 hours straight. It's just not how the human brain works.
You are so right, Anna. I used to think that being productive meant sitting in my chair and staring at my screen until my eyes hurt. I thought that taking a break was a sign of weakness or laziness.
I think we've all been guilty of that. We feel like if we stop, we're losing time. But science actually shows the opposite. If you don't take breaks, your cognitive focus starts to decline rapidly. You might be sitting at your desk, but you're not actually getting much done.
It's like a phone battery. You can't keep using it forever without plugging it in. Eventually it hits 1% and shuts down. Taking scheduled breaks is how you recharge your mental battery throughout the day.
Exactly. And the key word here is scheduled. We aren't talking about getting distracted and scrolling through TikTok for an hour. We're talking about intentional rest. Have you ever tried the Pomodoro technique, Mike?
Oh, I love the Pomodoro. For those who don't know, it's when you work for 25 minutes and then take a forced 5-minute break. After 4 rounds, you take a longer break of 15 to 30 minutes. It keeps your mind fresh because you know a break is always coming soon.
I use a variation of that too, but the most important thing is what you do during that break. If your work involves looking at a screen, your break should definitely not involve looking at a smaller screen like your phone.
That's a mistake I see all the time. People rest by checking social media, but their eyes and brain are still processing digital information. A real break means walking away from the desk. Go outside, stretch, grab a glass of water, or just stare out the window for a bit.
I agree. I usually try to do something physical. Even just doing a few jumping jacks or walking to the kitchen to make tea can reset my energy. It gets the blood flowing again.
And don't forget the long break. You need a proper lunch break where you actually leave your workspace. Don't eat your sandwich over your keyboard. Your brain needs to associate your desk with work mode and the rest of the world with relax mode.
That boundary is so important, especially for people working from home. If you don't schedule your breaks, the day becomes one long, blurry mess of feeling tired but never truly resting.
So when you're doing your time blocking from section 4, make sure you actually write break on your calendar. Treat it like an appointment with your health.
Because at the end of the day, we want to finish our work feeling satisfied, not completely exhausted and miserable.
Speaking of the end of the day, what happens when things don't go according to plan? Because let's face it, life happens.
That's a great point, Mike. No plan is perfect. In our next section, we're going to talk about how to look back at your day and adjust for tomorrow. So, the sun is setting, the workday is officially over, and we've finished our tasks. Or at least we finished some of them. Now comes a step that many people skip, but it's actually the secret to getting better every single day, the evening review.
This is where the magic happens, Anna. I used to just slam my laptop shut and run to the couch to watch movies, but I realized that if I don't reflect on what happened today, I'm probably going to repeat the same mistakes tomorrow.
Exactly. Reflection is the bridge between a chaotic life and a controlled life. I usually spend about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the day just looking back. I ask myself, what actually went well today?
I love starting with the positive. It's so easy to focus on the 3 things you didn't do and forget the 7 things you did accomplish. Celebrating those small wins gives you the confidence to keep going.
Right, but then we also have to be honest with ourselves. We need to look at the tasks that didn't get finished. Mike, what do you do when you see an uncompleted task on your big 3 list at 6 p.m.?
In the past, I would feel like a failure. I'd think, man, I'm so lazy. But now, I treat it like data. I ask, why didn't I finish this? Was the task too big? Did I get distracted by too many meetings? Or did I simply underestimate how long it would take?
That's a much healthier approach. It's not a moral failure, it's just information. If the task was too big, you learn to break it down more next time. If you got distracted, you know you need to tighten up your time blocks tomorrow.
Exactly. And then I do what I call the great migration. I take those unfinished tasks and I move them. I either move them to tomorrow's list or I realize they aren't actually that important and I delete them altogether.
The Great Migration. I like that. It clears the mental clutter. You aren't failing at those tasks, you are simply rescheduling them. This prevents that heavy feeling of unfinished business from following you into your dinner and your sleep.
It really helps me switch off my work brain. Once I review the day and set the plan for tomorrow, I feel like I have permission to relax. I can enjoy my evening without that nagging voice in my head saying, you should be doing something else.
That's the goal. Productivity isn't about being a robot. It's about creating a system that serves your life. Reflection helps you see if your system is actually working for you.
It's like being the CEO of your own life. You have to have a quick board meeting with yourself every evening to see how the company's doing.
And the best part is, the more you do this, the more accurate your planning becomes. You'll start to know exactly how much you can realistically achieve in 24 hours.
Well said, Anna. We've covered everything from the night before to the evening review. Now it's time to wrap this all up for our wonderful viewers.
Let's move to our final section and send everyone off with some final words of encouragement. Wow, Mike, we've really covered a lot today. From the brain dump the night before to eating the frog and finally reflecting on our progress. It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And you know, Anna, looking back at everything we discussed, the biggest takeaway for me is that planning isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about taking the steering wheel of your life instead of just being a passenger.
I couldn't agree more. If you're watching this and you feel like your life is a bit chaotic right now, please don't feel discouraged. You don't have to implement all these steps at once. Even starting with just one, like picking your big 3, can make a massive difference in your stress levels.
That's such an important point. Productivity is a skill, just like learning English. You don't become fluent in a day and you don't become a master of your time in a day. It's about those small, consistent improvements.
Exactly. And remember, the goal of planning your day isn't just to get more work done. The real goal is to create more time for the things that truly matter: your family, your hobbies, your health, and of course, your personal growth.
Well said. We want you to finish your day feeling energized, not exhausted. We want you to have time to actually enjoy the life you're working so hard to build.
Before we go, we want to hear from you. Which of these steps are you going to try tomorrow? Are you going to eat a frog or maybe try time blocking? Leave a comment below and let us know. We love reading your stories and supporting each other in this community.
And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps our channel reach more people who are looking to improve their English and their productivity at the same time.
Don't forget to subscribe to Speak English with Anna if you haven't already. We have so many more exciting topics coming your way to help you stay motivated and keep learning.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today. We truly appreciate every single one of you.
Go out there, plan your day, and make it a great one. We'll see you in the next video.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.